Hello everyone. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you some further examples about using RxSwift and RxCocoa in our Mac application. For instance, I will be showing you an example on NSSlider. To compare with iOS, the support to Mac app from RxCocoa is not that much. Mainly everything goes to the NS control, NS test field, and NS slider. The support like collection view and table view, etc. are not there yet. But in those cases, actually, you can still use Cocoa binding. Okay, back to the main topic. Let's start with the NS slider here. First of all, I'm going to drag the corresponding element to our storyboard, like the horizontal slider, and then make it bigger, for example like this. And then I'm going to add a label to tell what's going on. This will be showing the slider value from 0 to 100. And then I'm going to add the test field next to it, which will be showing the exact value coming up from the slider. I'm going to show this as integer, so we may need to run up a little bit throughout the process. But right now, let's connect the two new components to our view controller. I'll call this as slider, and then this test field, I will call this as slider value. Okay, and then I want to do the reactive part in a two-way binding. So when I change the value of the slider, it updates the text in the test field, in the slider value test field. Also, if I make a change to the test field, it will reflect to our slider. Back in time, if we are using the IB action and the target action pattern, we will need to check the relationship between the two components. Otherwise, it may be quite easy to get into race condition or infinity loop. But in this case, the good thing is that RxCocoa already handles that for us. We can simply do the way of adding the reactive sequence to each of the components and then update the value on the other side. So let's start with the slider here. We can get the current value using Rx value. And then by writing subscribe next, whenever the value of the slider is changed, it will trigger the block inside here. By default, the slider Rx value will return us a sequence of doubles. So even we know for any slider, we can take either integer value, double value, or other number types. When we are using RxCocoa, by default, it just returns the double. So in such case, we may want to format it back to integer. So first, let's say, since we only have one parameter here, I can erase the parentheses. Say I'm taking value as the double value coming out from the sequence of values from the slider. And then I would say update the slider value, the test field, with the string here, and the string would be the value which is converted into integer like this. After all, I want to add this to our dispose bag so that in case of deinitialization happens, it will handle the release of the sequence properly. I have set one sign right now, and let's run the application and see. So now if I make change to the slider, when I'm dragging the slider, nothing happened. But if I release, it changed the value. So the issue here right now is about the attribute setting of the slider. We shall set it to continuous so that it triggers those values continuously. Let's run it again. And now if I make change to the slider, as you can see, the value is shown to the test field in terms of integer. But right now, if I make change on this side, it didn't make any change to the slider itself. So I'm going to implement that part using the slider value here. We can get the current text using RxText, and obviously it would be a sequence of strings. I can use subscribe next to handle it when the signal is happening. Again, I'm taking it as value, but this time we know that it is a type of string. For the code inside this block, I'm going to first convert the value back to double because our slider is handling double. I want something like 2 double. If it is able to convert, just use that value, otherwise make it to 0. Since we don't have a 2 double method here, I'm going to extend string to do it and put a 2 double function, which will return double value, but it is an optional one. I can make use of the number formatter and return it by trying to process the string and convert it to double value like this. And then back in here, if I get the double value, then I can set to the slider dot double value equals to this double value. And then I still want to update my current test field, so just in case I have input double number in here, it will still convert back to integer and display in the test field. After that, I will want to add it to the disposable bag to handle the deinitialization. Now if I run the application again, besides changing the slider, we can also change from the text field like this. And if I input some like float number, actually it didn't allow me to put the dots. So that's how it works. And it works on both sides. Okay, now we have set the slider, and the RxSwift, the reactive programming, works nicely. What if, in some cases, I want to stop using reactive programming programmatically? What can I do? Say I have a button here. When I tap on it, I just want to stop all the reactive programming. Say I click unbind everything. We can do this too. So first, let's connect it as an ID outlet, and I call it unbind button. And then under here, I would do it like unbind button, and then I want to grab the tab event. That's what RxCocoa provides to us as RxTab. When it happens, I'm going to perform something, so subscribe next. We don't have a value passing in here, so I can just use the underscore. And also, I want to make sure the reference to the self is a weak self, just in case maybe this NSView controller is maybe deinitialized. And then in order to stop the reactive programming, what I want to do is literally reset the dispose back. So I get a reference to the instance dispose back, and then simply set it with a new dispose back like this. And since I am modifying the value for the reference of dispose back, I need to change this into var as well. And after all, I add dispose back again, but this time when it is called, the dispose back is the new object already. So since it is the new object, the bindings previous set are all gone, and thus it is unbinding everything. Let's try to run it again. So say I can, before clicking on the button, I do everything just like before. And say right now I click on unbind everything. If I make change to anything again, it's barely works like before, because now they are all unbind. So just in case you need to stop the reactive programming programmatically, that's the way to do it. And this is for RxSwift and RxCocoa so far. Let's stop here, and if you have any question, feel free to leave me a comment. Thank you and see you.